ever heard of Saint Omni, Jake? Do you know who Saint Omni is?
Zach, to be honest, only heard of Saint Omni this week from
Hmm.
you.
That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. It's why I wrote an article about it on FlurrySports. This is wild. I think this is a really big story, and the fact that nobody's talking about it is super weird to me. Like, you just aside from the story is fun for me and for us as fans of like storylines in sports, but this could be like illegal stuff happening. This is just mysterious and weird, and it could be, I don't know. It feels Illuminati esque, which I think is fun. But so essentially, I'll give you the short, and then I'll give you the background of what Saint Omni is. So in short, Saint Omni is this mysterious figure. We don't know who it is. He's been cited multiple times when massive sports deals have been done, mostly by or exclusively by two players who have represented themselves, quote unquote, saying Saint Omni got this deal done for me. So that would lead you to ask, who is Saint Omni? And we have no idea. So, background. The person who has been helped by quote unquote Saint Omni twice is his name is Laremy Tunsil. Some may remember him as the guy who had the gas mask on, smoking weed on draft night that was released, that sabotaged his draft stock. He has since then, thanks to Saint Omni, in part to Saint Omni, and he's a good player, but he has become the highest paid player at his position twice in a row now. So that's a little weird. And then Roquan Smith is the other player who has credited Saint Omni. He was a Chicago Bears linebacker, very good linebacker, one of the best in the league. All of a sudden, he is getting mistreated in Chicago, according to him. He is wanting to get traded. And Saint Omni acted on his behalf to contact other teams. By the way, that's very illegal. But since it's not an NFL rep, and since we don't know who Saint Omni is, he kind of just gets a free pass for whatever reason. And again, he was mistreated, and that sort of kind of got swept under the rug after he got traded and then got a massive deal. So, what do we know about Saint Omni other than him being mysterious, or her, or whatever? Because this could be a group of people, right? We don't know. We do not know. We know that Saint Omni has been credited for multiple big deals. And a few years ago, when Laremy Tunsil got his first deal, someone looked into Saint Omni for a brief second. I think it was USA Today. And then we kind of forgot about it, which again is weird. But when they looked into him, he had a Facebook page, so he must be a real person. He was listed as the director of football at Lifeline Financial Group. And since then, the page has been completely deleted, which is weird. Mm-hmm. And when they reached out, that Lifeline Financial Group, they had this to say about Saint Omni. It says they confirmed he exists, but he's never in the same place twice, and he doesn't give out his cell phone. So what's that mean? Like, he's never in the same place twice. Like, they're just feeding into the mysterious nature of this. It's weird.
Well, and you took the words out of my mouth. For non-sports fans, here's what you need to know. There's no reason for it to be this spooky. Like, nothing is even close to this, like, mysterious in terms of NFL dealings. By the way, the weirdest part about this, like, as you're kind of touching on here, the reason it got any traction even at first was because the fact that no one knew who this agent was, like it wasn't one of 6 well-known representatives, was wild. Like, most of the NFL is sponsored by the same majority groups over and over again. And so the fact that this, like, out of nowhere mysterious party who doesn't leave cell phone numbers and apparently only shows up at one time in a room is wild.
Well, not just that. NFL agents have to be licensed by the NFLPA. That's the NFL Players Association. And I would assume if you ask them, it's for their safety, so they don't have like a criminal representing them. Mm-hmm. But Saint Omni isn't registered with the NFLPA. So when this person contacts other teams about deals and stuff like that, That's very illegal.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's just getting swept under the rug. The NFL actually, after this last big deal for Laremy Tunsil, the NFL came out and said, like, we don't know who this is. Do not talk to this person. Like they came out and like released a letter. So that's weird. It's really weird. After Laremy Tunsil's last big deal, Ian Rappaport, who is an insider for the NFL, employed actually by the NFL. So it's different than Adam Schefter, who represents ESPN covering the league. Rappaport's actually covering the league for the league. Went on Pat McAfee's show. Pat McAfee asked him, like, do you know who Saint Omni is? Ian Rappaport got weird. He got really weird. He's like, yeah, like I know who it is. They're like, have you met with him? Yes, I've met this person. McAfee asked, is this an alias? And then he said, no further questions. Like, I will not talk about this person any further. It felt like Saint Omni was on the other side of the camera. Like, it just felt really weird.
Well, and why this goes to the point that we're going to get to in some of the suspicions of who it could be, because there has to be a reason this is so clandestine. And also my questions of, it feels like the type of thing that like actually a lot of people know, but it's not coming out that way. Like it seems like the type of thing of like, okay, maybe the public doesn't know, but no, it's really coming across from people like Rappaport of like, he's an NFL insider. And like other people in the NFL are like, don't talk to this person, we're not crediting him. So for Rappaport to kind of verify them and then swerve away is a weird, like it gives the vibe of like the people who need to know.
Right. And Tunsil went on McAfee's show after as well. And that was weird too, because they said like something along the lines, Saint Omni's always, or like, who is Saint Omni? And Tunsil said, Saint Omni's always there when I need him. And then someone walked behind him, like in the camera shot super quick that we couldn't see their face. So it might just be one of his boys messing around, or it could be him. It was super weird.
It's definitely one of his boys messing around.
Is it? Like, it was just like a shadow that went across the screen quickly, basically. It was so weird, but so funny. I don't know. But I think
some Fight Club shit, frame by frame. Tyler Durden's yelling at you.
Yeah. I think the one thing we know 100% is that it's an alias. Like, I don't think it's someone whose name is Saint Omni.
And it's not a group.
I don't think we know that for sure. Like, I think it could be a bunch of people just saying, like, there's an old like negotiation thing, like Mr. Kim is saying this. So it could be a made up group, like people just using the name as like an imaginary leverage play.
Right. Everyone's saying we have an agent when in fact it's a conglomeration.
Right. I think it's possible. I think the only thing we know 100% it's an alias, right?
Correct. That seems to be the case because there's no proof leading to a person and people are being way too cagey. Like they're talking about him like he's Voldemort.
Yes, exactly. And Voldemort, by the way, also had an alias. And that's kind of what I
your nerd showed there a little bit.
It did. But like what I wanted to say is there's always meaning in the alias. In Harry Potter, there was in Tom Riddle, is the whole Voldemort thinger. So Saint Omni, I don't think, like, it could be letters mixed up, right?
I'm gonna look that up as we're talking. Saint Omni anagram.
I did. It's in my article. I'm about to get to it, Jake, because I got a good one.
Oh, bring it on. Okay.
Again, people haven't been talking about this, so there's nobody who did as much research as me. I promise you, which is weird. But first, let's just talk about the meaning of the word omni, because that's just a super random word and it's ominous. Like maybe that's why they chose it. But omni means of all things, in all ways, in all places. So it could be, a made up figure where they're everywhere. Everyone can use them. That could be something. It could be short for omnicompetent, which means able to handle any situation, which makes sense because seemingly Saint Omni keeps stepping in and getting the biggest deals done of all time for players that don't. It didn't really seem like they could get those deals. But it could be an anagram. So those are the letters mixed up. And what could Saint Omni be in an anagram? I came up with one, and maybe there's one letter left out.
Can I
But
give you one that I just came up with?
okay, sure.
It's obviously moist nanny.
It might be a moist nanny. We gotta add it to the list because we just don't know. One that I came up with was insomnia T. So insomnia T could be an initial for something. You're not hearing all these Slack messages I'm getting, right? Because people are sending like one word messages. Thank God. I'm about to kill somebody. But
anyway, raindrop text guy.
Oh my God. Just you can send paragraphs. Like we don't need to do. I'm not kidding. I just got 10 messages in a row from somebody. No message longer than 4 words.
Building suspense, Zach.
Hey, let's skip ahead really quick. Absolutely not. Paul, cut it the hell out. Just space it out. Okay.
Throw comma in there, Paul. Jesus Christ, my kingdom for a conjunction.
No kidding. You're an editor. Figure it out. Anyways, Saint Omni, insomnia T. So someone with the letter T associated with a name, who is doing deals late at night, cannot sleep. Also, if we want to be hip and with the slang and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Insomnia obviously is like a condition where you can't sleep, but it could be slang for woke, like not asleep. That's why I think that's kind of cool, if I say so myself. But insomnia T, who could insomnia T be? It could be Laremy Tunsil, T for Tunsil. I think that would make a lot of sense. And again, he is representing himself supposedly, and then Saint Omni came in, stepped in, got a deal done. It could be just an alias he was using. It could be a leverage play by him. So he could be Insomnia T. Another person we already mentioned, Ian Rappaport. Obviously, he got really weird on that McAfee phone call. And if we're discussing people who have contacts with a bunch of teams that could act on behalf of players, Ian Rappaport or other insiders like that, I think certainly could do that. They certainly have the connections, and what better person to do it than the insider for the actual league? Like, he could be acting on the league's behalf, or he could be completely going rogue. And never in 2 places at once. I don't know what that means, but not giving out a cell, like, that would make sense if he's not giving out his cell phone, since everyone has Rappaport's cell phone number. Another one is Roger Goodell. Let's not.
Love that one.
Let's not. Roger Goodell. He is the NFL commissioner, for the people who don't know. And seeming in both of these situations, Laremy Tunsil and Roquan Smith, these are 2 players that were wronged by the league, by social media, by something, like in whatever way. Like Roquan Smith could be hiding a lot of negative news from the league. And Laremy Tunsil obviously kind of got blackballed by the league initially, when that random video of him in the gas mask got released. So maybe it's sort of a make right by Roger Goodell, or possibly, we remember when Chris Paul got traded to the Lakers. I think it was David Stern reversed that trade. Like, commissioners do have an impact on some of these transactions in the league, but if Roger Goodell did it himself, that looks terrible. But if he operates under Saint Omni, then maybe Roger Goodell could do that. So that's one. But I got 2 more. Again, going back to the T thing, Insomnia T, Jake.
I've got one.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady has a big empty house. His family, his wife left him. He's got nothing to do at night. He retired from football. He could be up late at night just trying to be connected to the game. And this is the way he's doing it. He certainly has connections with everyone. He is not afraid of a little bit of tampering. We know that. So maybe Tom Brady's acting on behalf of these players. Or Jake, what other one do you have before we get into the real person?
All right.
Who I believe
you inspired me by this, Zach. First, Insomnia T. I think the T is important. Someone who can't rest, Zach. Or maybe they were told to rest, to take a break, take a breather, take the sidelines, take a hike. We don't need you anymore. Someone who has that commissioner-like grasp on the Leagues Act would suddenly no one will listen to anymore. Maybe would get a lot of flack for taking the player's side. That's right. I'm talking about the one and only Paul Tagliabue.
You think so?
Former NFL commissioner. He's 82 years old. Former head of the league. He can't side with the guys. He can't side with the boys.
That's a good point. That is a good point. He has all the connections. He has all the power. Everyone knows him. He could make this work.
There's no way he's on Goodell's side. The league's like, don't talk to Paul.
True. That is true. That is true.
They can't totally ice him out either. He's got too much pull.
The league press statement's very good. It's very funny. There's also another one, random. I think the identity of this person's been released since, but immediately following the Saint Omni thing, Lamar Jackson's obviously been trying to get traded in.
Yes.
There was an unnamed source that was reaching out to all these teams on behalf of Lamar Jackson, who was not certified by the NFLPA, but we didn't know who it was. And they did say Saint Omni, but I'm like, Saint Omni's up to something again. But I think they said who it was after the fact. And I think Lamar Jackson was like, that's not even a little bit true. Like, I don't know who this person is. But that was another thing. Maybe it was Saint Omni, maybe not. I don't know. But Jake, for the listeners of the Flurry Sports Podcast for a long time, for years, actually, which is kind of weird to say, for years, there's been one player that has been at the forefront of our mind. There's one player that we've kept at least one eye on because he's always been up to something. And once again, he's getting a little too quiet. Like, what is Von Miller up to, Jake? Could he be Saint Omni? And this is someone I have a lot of evidence for. Ooh. So Von Miller, for the people who don't know, he is an outside linebacker, edge rusher for the Buffalo Bills, formerly Los Angeles Rams, formerly Denver Broncos. We have been very suspicious of Von Miller since his Denver days. He has been vocal in his pursuit of becoming an NFL GM someday. He has been shadowing Bills general manager Brandon Beane all offseason, even during the regular season last year because he got hurt. So he's been in these front office meetings. He's been shaking hands with people. He was down at the combine this year, meeting with like other agents, other organizations in these meetings. So in terms of representing players, and he's always been vocal about helping the player and the players first as well. Like Von Miller would know these people. Von Miller would have an interest in doing stuff like this. And now, more evidence here. Von Miller last year, Jake. Do you remember that news story where he took his helmet off and he had a triangle shaved into the back of his head?
Yes.
We're like, well, okay, that's weird. Like, it's Von Miller. He's a weird person. They asked him what this means. And he had this to say, Jake, this exact quote about his triangle haircut. A triangle represents manifestation, enlightenment, revelation, and a higher perspective. It is often used to mark the cycles of growth that lead to a higher state of being. Spiritually, it represents a path towards enlightenment or connection to an omnipresent being.
No.
He said omnipresent. He is telling us, hey, I'm Saint Omni. But Jake, I got more.
Or his barber. Sorry, carry on.
Could be his barber. You're right. But anyways, remember how I said Saint Omni was listed as the director of football at Lifeline Financial Group?
I do. Also, super quick, just for the fans of this show, super quick, absolutely not. Not every tattoo's got to mean something, Vaughn. You could have just said a triangle looks sick, brah. Like, I'm. How many tattoo people got to tell you, like.
It was a haircut.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, it's a tattoo.
It wasn't even a tattoo.
Tattoo on your hair. Not every hair's got to mean something. It's like a tattoo on your hair, bud.
Well, it's like, you know what my haircut means? It means I haven't been to sports clips in a while. You know?
You know what a triangle on my head means? An octagon was fucking tough. It's got 5 less sides.
One of the easiest shapes to actually draw. So I mean, it might not even be that skilled of a barber.
Sorry, carry on. Lifeline Financial. Yes. The initial financial group tied to Saint Omni's Facebook page.
Right. But then that Facebook page was deleted.
Correct. And then they gave a really weird answer.
Yes. However, I went on to LinkedIn, and Lifeline Financial Group has a LinkedIn page. Mm-hmm. And they have offices in 2 cities, Jake.
No.
That is Denver and Los Angeles. That's weird.
That's weird.
Like, they're not representing both coasts. Why Denver? Why Denver? Are they going to open up a 3rd branch in Buffalo?
Please.
Vaughn? What are you going to do, Vaughn? Like, I don't know how obvious. It has to be. It has to be Von Miller. Why Denver and Los Angeles? It's not New York and Los Angeles. It's not Miami and Los Angeles. Why is Denver the Lifeline Financial Group's first listed location and then Los Angeles? That's weird. Like, I don't know. That's all I have in terms of why it's Von Miller. But I think it's Von Miller.
More than nothing. It's more than nothing.
It's weird though, right? It kind of points to him.
Kind of.
It's a lead.
It points that I'm more in on he's Lifeline Financial. He's got like a secret Ponzi scheme. I like the idea he's the money behind it.
That's possible. I think he's at least tied to it. He at least knows what's going on.
He knows. Also, for those not super into it, just to not super skate by it, one interesting part about it possibly being Laremy Tunsil himself, you talked about the Lamar Jackson stuff. He's getting like raked through the coals right now for self-representation. Like the league is blackballing him. So for folks not super familiar, another reason why I think this is gaining traction is if it is Tunsil, like he proved why it was necessary. Because now a guy who like openly represented himself is getting like basically conspired against to cost him money.
I mean, there's multiple instances whenever a player represents themselves, the owners, the organizations, whatever, try to screw that person. And it's seen as a red flag. Like when Richard Sherman did it, that was a massive red flag.
Yeah.
Obviously, we see Lamar Jackson. We see Roquan Smith. It was a red flag. We see a bunch of people. Bobby Wagner. It was a red flag. It's Von Miller, obviously. So, yeah, it's these organizations don't like giving the power to the player. It's easier when there's a middleman. They want to, and from a player's point of view, why would a player want to represent themselves? One, it's just something to put on your resume, like a business thing after playing, like maybe you could get into the business. But then 2, when you have an agent, there's agent fees. They're going to take a big percentage of the contract that they helped to negotiate. So even if you get a little bit less money representing yourself, you actually might make more money as a result. So that's why a player would want to do it themselves versus paying an agent 5% or 2% or whatever it is.
Certainly sounds like a group of folks committed to, maybe being an alias for each other. I love that.
It might be, I think the players using it for their own leverage is possible. It could be a group of like agents that aren't certified by the NFLPA for whatever reason. Like maybe they are being outcasted because it's a competitive business. Maybe they're up and comers in this thing, or maybe there is a former agent that an AI bot may have told me is supposedly Saint Omni. Tuned into the FlurrySports Podcast. We'll get into it over there because we'll talk about this a little bit there. But just to sum this up, this is an ongoing thing, and I think we're going to hear more about Saint Omni going forward. I personally feel in my heart it is Von Miller, and I don't want to let him off. Like, I see you. I tagged you on Twitter multiple times, and all of my writers kind of tagged underneath it too, like Von Miller, because we see you, Von. We know you're up to something, and we're not going to let you get by again. Knock it off.
You are seen. You are heard. You are important. I Love the spin of it being Tunsil. I know at this point, I feel like we're jumping the shark of like it's become too obvious. Like we
Mhm.
started there and then this whole like I do, but one, it's funnier now. I'm back into it because I love the idea of it being him and him having his boy run
Yeah. It was so
through
funny.
the
I'm like, what was that? Like, we can't do this.
he's casting distraction. I do love that aspect of it. I also love like a couple pieces I love to it. One, I think it makes the most sense in terms of like how it somewhat has been allowed is
Mhm.
like because it's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's him. Like, because when the league digs a little deeper, oh, it's self-representation. Like, because to me, I don't think there's any way the league has no clue who this is. So I'm like, who could it be where it's like somewhat allowed? And
Right.
I think self-representation fills that gap maybe most cleanly. And this is the coolest part. I love the idea. If the league doesn't know, I love the idea of Rappaport and a few others knowing and taking it in the chin for the man. He's like, I won't rat on Tunsil, dude.
Yeah, so two things that I think goes against what you said though. One is Rap Sheet. Ian Rappaport. Like why would he be that he looked like he saw a ghost. Or they're like, is it an alias? Like, I wouldn't think he's that scared of
Dude,
Laremy
imagine
Tunsil.
him against the wall with Tunsil leaning over him,
Maybe.
saying, if you tell anyone.
Right. Like, it's possible. Two, I think self-representation cleanly fills the void of Laremy Tunsil. I don't think it does for Roquan Smith.
You don't think it could be Tunsil doing it for other players?
Well, even still, like the league looking into it, no matter what, the situation with Roquan Smith was very illegal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do think that that's the most interesting wrinkle, especially if like some of those other rabbit holes we were talking about of like possibly being Saint Omni, like it extending too far beyond Tunsil is weird to be Tunsil. That goes back to
Mhm.
like maybe it's just an alias he originally used and then other people are hopping onto, but I don't know. That's the one I'm staring towards right now, but who knows?